Hi everyone, and welcome to Screams After Midnight, the horror movie show here in Mild Fuzz. I'm Peter, and I'm laughing because the guy across from me is grinning like a maniac. That is Tim Vargilish.
Hello, it's a pleasure, as always.
Yeah, and that was even creepier. Jesus Christ, Tim, you're gonna murder me in my sleep one of these days.
That's the
Jeez.
plan.
But yeah, so we talk about horror movies, and this week we have a first for Screams After Midnight. We're doing what I'm going to call the slasher movie double feature. The reason why we're doing two slasher movies is because I kind of feel like slasher movies tend to be really simple plot wise. I feel like the usual rough length of an episode that we have, we would never like hit that with one slasher movie. So we're doing two, and this will be something we'll do from time to time. Is we'll do a double slasher movie episode.
I never agreed to that, but let's okay.
You don't have to agree to things, Tim. I just, what Peter wants, Peter gets.
Oh my. Okay.
I'm kidding, people.
Ooh.
Kind of. Um, so, the only difference to a normal episode, other than the fact that we're doing two movies, is that we will not be doing a spoiler-free section at the start because we'll just have two movies. So it'll just be spoilers for one movie, spoilers for the second movie. But they're both older, so. Uh,
Yeah.
and they're also slasher movies, which means there's not really a whole lot to spoil. Even if we tell you what the kills are, I mean, it's seeing them that's the that's the
Yeah.
exciting part. But you've been warned, so full spoilers for both movies going in. So the first one we're going to talk about is a movie from 1981, and it's called The Burning, and it's set at a summer camp,
Hmm.
and it's about a group of teenagers who, years after a caretaker of the camp is burned alive accidentally in a prank from a bunch of teenagers, years later, a new group of teenagers get caught in the crossfire as this victim comes back with his garden shears, big, scissors, motherfucking things, and
Yeah.
decides to rain hell on the campers when they go out on a little canoe trip one day.
I'd like to get something out of the way up top real quick.
You're
And this
hungry?
is
No.
what?
You're
No,
sleepy? No.
no, God, no.
Um,
I'm a professional.
you you don't like dragons. You think they're lame.
Ah. You know what? I don't even think about dragons enough to really care.
Oh, you're apathetic towards dragons. You heard it here first, folks.
Yeah.
Was there anything else you wanted to get out of the way, Tim?
This is going to apply to both movies.
Oh, right, okay.
Horribly, horribly mistitled, I
Right,
think.
okay.
Well, like, you tell me there's a horror movie about the burning, and it's not about a dude burning people? What the fuck?
Well, hold on. He becomes a killer because he gets burned, and he does try to burn someone at the end. So,
Yeah, like, for what? Like, a minute? It's like, you know,
look, okay, I
they
can see
they
what you're
don't
saying.
call Friday the 13th the kid who drowned or whatever.
Look, I can see. Yeah, but what does that movie actually have to fucking do with Friday the 13th?
Yeah, it's not a great title of the movie either.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, I'm pretty sure the first two are the only ones where they specifically mention that it's Friday the 13th. I could be wrong. There's probably titles at the start of each one that say Friday the 13th and then whatever fucking year it is.
I
But
think you're meant to assume.
yeah, but seriously, that's why when they eventually got to like Jason X and Freddy vs.
Yeah.
Jason and whatever, they just didn't even bother mentioning. They titled the movie just Jason something because
Yeah.
who cares? It's like no one's actually paying attention to the date.
Yeah.
Especially in like the second movie, getting into the third movie, because it basically goes on to the next day, and it feels like that. So it's like, how could this be Friday the 13th again?
That's
Seriously,
true.
guys. Like, but anyway, the third one should be called Saturday the 14th 3D.
Just go through like each new movie is just like the next day.
But anyway, I see where you're coming from, but I think the reason why I don't care is A, because I think a lot of horror movie titles are probably bullshit, and B, I really like garden shears as a murder weapon.
Okay. I'll give you that.
Come on, that shot where he jumps out and he holds him up and the sun's behind him.
Out of
Like,
on the canoe trip.
yeah,
Yeah.
like
That
that.
was probably I would say yeah, if we're going right into it, I'd say that was definitely the highlight of the movie for me is that whole little section. Like all those kills were really really cool.
Well, yeah, like this movie does a. I mean, obviously, it sounds really generic at first glance because you've got the backstory and you've got the summer camp, which is very Friday the 13th. Um, you have a group of 80s teenagers who we'll get to them in a minute and we'll talk about some of them, but it does a couple of unique things in that most slasher movies, the killer picks them off one by one, and no one really knows there's a killer until maybe the final two people,
Yeah.
right? Whereas this movie does completely different things with that. Basically, no one dies for maybe 35, 40 minutes, right?
Mhm.
Well, I didn't have a problem with. I actually thought it was entertaining up to that point anyway, just because all the characters were so, like, ridiculously 80s and wacky. And plus you've got a young George Costanza with hair. Come on. Georgie boy, look at those locks. Look at those locks. There was a time when he wasn't bald. That's amazing to me.
What happened?
I know. It all went downhill. And you've got that, but so it takes that long. There's one kill about halfway in, and it's the girl in the lake. Which, by the way, that dude was being so rapey.
Oh yeah.
Like, so rapey. This is something we'll come back to with a couple of these male characters.
Yeah, the male characters in this movie are not they're not there's not a ton of dudes to like look up to or like
no,
really admire.
Yeah, like because there's this kid who is kind of, I think he's like Italian, but he's just kind of really forceful. And
Yeah.
when she eventually like pushes him away for like the third time, he gets angry and says "fuck off." Then like he gets really upset about it. It's like, dude, just,
Yeah, it's chill.
I think all you did wrong there was try to force it really quickly. You could have just went slowly
Yeah.
and kept calm, and it'd have been fine. But no, you were a rapey douchebag who kept trying to force things, and then get angry when she turned you down. Of course she turned you down. You were being creepy, you fuck. Like,
Yeah.
anyway, and then
What's
the other guy, what's his name? Is it? It's not Grizzly.
was Woodstock?
No, that was another guy. No,
Oh,
I'm
okay.
talking about the really dumb jock dude who kept like thinking the
Oh.
weird kid was weird.
Yeah. Um,
It was
I
a
don't
really, it was a name like that though. It was like,
they all kind of had like very like not like not like normal names, like not like Joe, Dave, but like all kind of like the like high schooly nicknames kind of sounding stuff.
yeah. But anyway, we'll get to the characters in a minute. I wanted to say what was unique about the way the movie works in the terms of the kills. So you get the one kill, that's fine, that's normal, right? But then, how many slasher movies can you think of where the killer jumps out at like 5 of them at the same time and like kills all of them in that moment?
That's true. Yeah, it's not like he's not really, I don't know, like picking them off like just like one by one like you'd see in a typical kind of movie. Well, he does that through a lot of the movie, but yeah, that
Because
scene.
he jumps out, you get that badass shot with the sun like behind him, and again he kills in broad
Yeah.
daylight, which is also, I mean, I've seen other movies do it, but it's not too common. Like it tends
Yeah.
to be night. And that's really cool. So he cuts off the guy's fingers, he stabs someone else in the head, and there's all sorts of shenanigans going on.
And a lot of the gore and stuff looked really good,
It
which
does, yeah.
this one was the one by Tom Savini, right? The special effects, or was that the next one?
No, I think it was this one.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So like obviously that's
I'm doubting myself. I'm going to check,
a
but yeah.
pro. Yeah, I want to say it was him. I know it was at least one of these, but I mean, yeah, obviously Tom Savini, knows what he's doing. He's gonna make, gore look good.
Yeah, it was this one.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, but no, yeah. Tom Savini's effects are really good. There's some really good like head bashing and stuff, and like head axing going on.
Now, I would like to kind of let's back up a little bit and talk about the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
You mean the prologue?
well, two things. So yeah, the first scene with that prank that just goes horribly wrong.
Very quickly. Like Like immediately, the guy wakes up and he knocks over the creepy skull with the candles in it, and
Yeah.
immediate fire.
Which is was that like whole cabin just soaked in like kerosene
Well,
or
it had
something?
a gas tank, remember? Because it
There
like
was yeah, there's that gas tank there, but like I feel like even before it reaches the gas tank, like I feel like if you're just knocking like little candles down, I feel like just the drop, like the wind of the drop would like automatically put them out.
it's a fair point. It's a fair point. I will say this though, the characters did try and save him at first, like before they hit the gas tank, and they thought they could save him. They do say, "Oh shit, we better get him out of there."
Yeah.
Like I like that at least.
Yeah, I do feel like this is like a little like again, yeah, I might make a lot of comparisons to Friday the 13th, which is kind of like the quintessential like summer camp horror film, which I feel like this kind of probably borrows a lot on it. Uh, but yeah, like I feel like that maybe is a little more justified because you have someone dying like directly as like these people's like negligence, and it's like yeah, these people did do this horrible prank, but yeah, like you said, it never meant to go that far. They obviously like yeah, we're trying to help, and the guy didn't die from it.
Yeah, admittedly they weren't trying for very long, but still,
True.
I appreciated that line. It was something,
Yeah.
it was like they're not completely evil dickheads.
Yeah.
Also, I want to point out that other than the one guy who turns out to be like the counselor guy in the present day, I like that it's all these kids that are dying in this group of guys. Otherwise, as far as we can tell, he's not went after. Like he's killing all these innocent kids.
Yeah.
this group that actually done it are like all off scot free. Um,
Now, what I wanted to talk about next was I think it's the direct next scene where they're in the hospital and we get to meet probably the most unprofessional like nurse or I don't know whatever assistant whatever he is ever. Like this guy's just like walking this other guy through the hospital. He's like, "Oh man, you gotta see this guy. He is so burnt. Oh man, he looks so gross. You gotta see him. You're gonna." I was like,
yeah.
the other dude didn't seem like he wanted to see him at all. Like, why
Yeah.
was he?
Especially since he kept saying, "Oh, once you see this dude, you're never going to come back here. You're going to quit your job."
Yeah, and it's not like they were like on another floor. Like they were walking to his room, right outside of the room. He's pulling the curtain back. The guy's right there. And he's like to his face being like, "Hey, check out this freak. Look at this burnt piece of shit." I was like, "Oh my god, this guy is like horrible."
Oh god. See, this is the thing. The movie's actually very entertaining, like just
Yeah.
throughout, because of all these weird characters. Like, let's talk about the because we interest. It cuts. That's like right after it happened, then it cuts to present day, or well, present day at the time. You know what I mean. And we're introduced to like the girls, and the girl goes for a shower, and we're introduced to the creepy kid. Well, he's not actually that creepy, but he's a bit of a weirdo, and he was spying on the shower, which fair play, shouldn't be doing
Yeah,
that.
that I might need you to explain this to me. So his this girl gets all upset because he's watching her shower, and his defense was that it was like a prank. But what was the prank? Like just
He was trying to scare her, so I guess he was trying to pretend to be like a killer, maybe. I don't know.
okay.
Um,
That's such like a
so I know it's a shite excuse. It's like,
yeah.
yeah, but you still seen me naked, you fuck.
Yeah, it's not like, she's out chopping firewood and you jump out from behind a tree. Like, okay, that whatever, I can see you just trying to scare her, but it's like, no, like you fucking pervert, creepy ass piece of shit. Like, that's not a prank.
But there's something I do want to talk about him though. Is so after this happens, the counselor guy like takes him aside and he's like, "Look, I had a lot of problems when I was, and when I was young as well." And he's like, "You can come and you can talk to me." And the weird guy is just kind of like, "Yeah, but I don't really have any friends, right?" And he says he's a loner and like he struggles, right?
Yeah.
Like almost the very next scene, right? Although there's like a scene with the douchebag that he like tries to punch him, and he's like a real idiot. He's like constantly, just spouting crap, right?
Stay away from my girl.
Yeah, yeah. He's one of those. He's got like that thick New Yorkan kind of accent where he's constantly like saying like these like key phrases, like at the end of like half of his sentences. But so yeah, so this kid said, "I don't have any friends, so I have real trouble fitting in and all that." The very next scene, he's with.
And that's when you could relate to him.
No. The very next scene, almost, he's with 3 other guys who are all asking him if he's okay. They then go for a swim, and when the douchebag pushes him in the water, they all stick up for him and say, "Hey, he can't swim," and they help him. And then they assist him in pinging the douchebag as he's trying to hit on the girls with the slingshot or whatever. No, it's not a slingshot, it's a BB gun or whatever.
Okay, yeah.
Like, they're helping him, and they're all laughing with him, and I'm like, what the fuck? This is a group of friends. This is like 4 or 5 friends. He seems quite close with these people. They're all being really nice to him.
Yeah.
What happened to you don't have friends? There's no one for you to talk to.
Maybe he's a huge asshole and doesn't consider those guys friends. It's like, yeah, sure, I have this group of people that talk to me and care about me, but I wouldn't call them friends.
Yeah, even the girl he was spying on ends up sticking up for him later on.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I don't... Like, we're meant to find this guy sympathetic, and maybe if he was a weirdo that had no friends, I'd buy into it. Or maybe if he just didn't be a pervert at the start of the movie, I'd buy into it. But it just feels like, oh, you're writing like weird stuff. That said, though, him spying on her is the least rapey thing in the movie, so
Yeah, that's
saying something.
Yeah, he's kind of a saint compared to some of the other guys.
Yeah, and I feel like the douchebag who's like constantly trying to get in that girl's pants the whole time, and then when he actually does, and he like, he finishes like within like 10 seconds, and she like, because she's like really standoffish and doesn't want to do it, and he he doesn't rape her like, but he pressures her into it, is the word I use. Like, it's very like, yeah, you want to, that line, like, guys, seriously, never say that like, to a girl ever.
Yeah, it's like the quintessential like 80s asshole douchebag.
At least not in that tone. I mean, there's context so much you could say that line and it'd be fine, but not in that tone. When she's trying to say no, you don't say you want to.
Yeah.
Like, like, Tim, if I'm offering you some chocolates, right, and you're saying no, I'm on a diet, and I go, oh, come on, you want to, right?
Yeah.
Perfect usage of that sentence.
Sure, yeah.
Right, you're tempting them. You're like, here, have a treat.
Yeah.
It's fine, right? But when you're holding your dick out and saying, go on, have a treat, it's fine. Different story.
Yeah.
Right, different story.
That's like assault. Like, that's fucked up.
Yeah, like he was sort of forcing kissing on her, and it happened in the other scene as well with the guy in the water.
Yeah.
When she get killed, like the guy got angry and told her to fuck off at the end. It's like you're forcing the kiss like multiple times, like, but whatever, right? But
yeah,
so you almost
it's problematic to
you
say
almost cheer when he like finishes prematurely, and then you're almost like wanting to high five her when she starts, being like, "Is that it?"
Yeah.
And then he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, baby. It'll be better next time." I was like, yeah, next time. Yeah, good luck with that. Oh dear. And then she gets killed, and I think the killer hides in her sleeping bag. At least, if he doesn't, he appears out of nowhere really quickly to kill him.
Yeah.
Like, really, really quickly. And this is when the rest of the people who are all still alive like find all the dead bodies, and all those people don't get killed. Like, the killer doesn't kill any of them. Like, there's like a lot of survivors. Again, kind of weird and kind of different. So fair play for being a little bit different, even though it feels like a slasher movie in every other way. And we have her end, and it turns out the main like counselor dude who's been looking after them is one of the kids who played the prank on him, and he goes to help the weird kid because the weird kid's like been captured by him. And there's stabbings, and we get an axe to the head and the killer, and it's really cool. And then the kid for some reason decides to just set him on fire because
and you see his like the killer's face. It's kind of like this like burnt up
Jason Voorhees
gross
style
face. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like that.
And now and it's kind of funny too. I forget if they mentioned it earlier in the movie, like in the beginning, maybe they did and I missed it, but I definitely noticed it at the end that the guy's name was Cropsy, which...
Yeah, they mentioned that. Because the guy tells a story at the camp. Actually, that's another good point. So the council, that turns out to be one of the kids who played the prank, tells this story about him at the camp, at the campfire, like halfway through the movie, and then, which is fine at the time because you're thinking, oh, you've heard this story from a friend. It's like this myth. There's this guy who burned alive from these campers, and he like wants revenge, so he kills people.
Yeah.
He did this. He's telling this story as a creepy story around a campfire, and he was involved. He burned this man alive.
It's kind of funny because it's like, usually they'll tell those stories and they'll be like, and it happened on a night just like this, like at this very camp, and it's kind of like, oh yeah, like this guy like means it when he's like saying like,
yeah,
all that stuff.
He can give you a date. He can give you a time.
Yeah.
He was there. This isn't just a story. This is an eyewitness account.
Yeah. But I just thought that was interesting though, because I don't know if you ever saw that movie Cropsy, but
Can't say I have.
oh, okay. It's a documentary. I know it's been on Netflix for a long time. I don't know if it's still on there, but I actually thought it was really interesting. But Cropsy is like a real life legend.
All right.
Like based on this guy, I want to say in like either New Jersey, New York area, not like the city, but kind of like more suburban area. Yeah. But no, there is like a real life legend named Cropsy, and there's like a whole documentary about it. It's like some kids went missing, and they thought that Cropsy was this like escaped mental patient. So I just thought that was really interesting. I was like, oh, like I never heard of him outside of that documentary I watched.
Well, do you think this was a reference? Do you think this was a homage to that myth?
Yeah, I assume so. Unless it's just pure coincidence, but it seems like a very like specific name that I'd be surprised if they just thought of it.
So, unless there's anything else specific you want to talk about, Timmy, I guess I'll just ask if you liked the movie. Did you enjoy watching it?
I did enjoy it. It's a I don't want to say a generic camp horror film because I feel like it stood out more than it's not my favorite camp horror film, but it's definitely it has like some of those cliches, but they're dealt with in very fun ways. So I do think it's very enjoyable. Are we gonna do ratings, or are we gonna wait for?
I will do ratings in a second for this before we move on. But no, I like the movie.
Yeah,
quite a bit. I think it's got really good gore, good kills, really dumb 80s characters, but I like dumb 80s characters.
Yeah.
Even if they are being a little bit rapey, but it's so cartoony that you kind of just that you can go along with it. It's
again when you take into account like the time frame and the like subject matter of it being like a little bit of a cheesy horror movie kind of thing, then it works in that context. Like obviously it's not right, and if it was like a real life thing, it would be disturbing or whatever.
Yeah.
But
I would love to know like is this just heightened because it's movies and it's one of these things where like people, I mean, I'm not, obviously there's rapey people out there in the world, like
yeah,
obviously they do exist, but I mean, like, was every teenager like this in the 80s?
It's a good question because like we have these movies now, and it's kind of like are do we treat these as kind of like time capsules, as reflections of these times that are like 30 years ago now at this point, like obviously not, I'm sure not everyone acted like all the characters in these movies and stuff, but is it like a fair assessment to say that a good chunk of people were like this, or this was kind of more accepted or normal? I don't know.
Yeah. For all we know, it's just as rampant now as it was back then. We just don't see it being us.
Yeah, I mean that's the kind of thing about the world today, especially with like so much online, like people being connected online and stuff, you kind of tend to um, group yourselves and surround yourselves with like-minded people. So there is like a lot of stuff that I take for granted that I think, like, oh, yeah, most people feel this way, and like, oh, that's like a crazy thing. No one really, when you hear like some outrageous like political belief or something, and you kind of be like, well, no one really feels that way. And then it's like, well, actually,
Yeah.
maybe,
Here's Exhibit A.
yeah, maybe I just don't think that because the people I constantly talk to are like-minded
Now,
individuals and stuff. And
I'm going to quickly move on because I feel like
okay,
this serious discussion about how much sexual assault exists is actually kind
yeah,
of bringing down the tone of the podcast when we're here to have fun and talk about people
right.
killing each other in a make-believe setting. So let's move on and do ratings for The Burning, which I think is a fun, typical 80s slasher movie with some
Yeah.
good kills. I like the weapon of choice. I think there's some interesting characters who are goofy. Um, that said, I'm not going to rate it too highly. I think I think you're looking at like a 6.5. A good
So,
enjoyable 6.5.
see, what I was thinking, and like why I was hesitating a little bit when you're asking me if I enjoyed this, because I did enjoy it, but I was thinking about like a six area. However, I had trouble finding the movie, and I watched. It's on. There was a version that was on YouTube that you could just watch for free. So I watched that, but it was really, really poor quality. Like the sound in the picture um, was like pretty off. So
So just to make sure, when you said it was poor quality, you were talking about the sound in the picture, nothing else.
right, right, right. Like the
No, Tim, I'm joking because there's nothing else it could be. I'm pulling your
oh.
leg. It's fine. Continue.
Well, sorry, I didn't study film. Jesus Christ. I don't know whatever four quadrants make a movie or some shit. But
Just the two, just picture and sound, Tim. Just the two things. That's a
but
movie.
what I'm saying though is like I still really enjoyed like the story and like the special effects and stuff, but the poor quality just really like brought it down a notch or so. So I think I'm gonna give it a 6, but with an asterisk, saying that I feel like if I, which I might actually go out and if I can find like the Blu-ray or something cheap, give it a purchase because I actually would like to watch it again at a decent or good quality, which I feel like might bump it up at least like a half a point or so, if not more.
Yeah, the Blu-ray is good quality. I'd recommend the Blu-ray.
Okay.
I don't think that would affect my. I mean, obviously, if you get shitty picture quality, it does and sound. It does affect your enjoyment of the
Like,
experience, but it wouldn't affect how I feel about the movie
it's
because
like,
because especially since a lot of these movies almost like they come from a time when everyone was watching them
mhm,
on shitty VHS.
yeah.
Uh,
Like, there would be like there literally be times where like I might have not been able to like to see exactly what was going on because I'm already watching on my computer screen, which isn't the biggest screen I have, and um the picture was kind of like it didn't like take up the full screen. You know what I mean? Like they kind of uh had like a smaller like box frame for it, if that makes any sense. But um like not like widescreen like where it just cuts off the sides and top a little bit, but actually like put it in kind of like a smaller box or frame. So at times it was a little hard to tell what was going on. Again, that's not really uh an indictment of the movie, but just more the experience that I had watching it.
okay.
I feel a little more enjoyable experience would bump it up
Yeah.
a little bit for me.
Um, I feel like we spent 5 minutes there with you describing what this image was, like the boxed in. You really went into detail there. It's like it's boxed in. It's not just at the top and the bottom. It's the sides as well, and it's
People need. Well, I feel like I'm someone who cares deeply about my scores. I just don't go throwing scores out willy nilly. So I need people to understand when I give a score, what it means, what, otherwise I'm not being genuine, and why should people listen to me? Like that, yes, it's okay for some people to just like throw scores out and be like, whatever, I give it a 6.5 or something, whatever, no explanation, fine. But people trust
What do
me.
you mean no explanation? We've done nothing but spend the last 25 minutes explaining why we. Oh my God, Timmy. Yeah, you could have summed all that up. You could have summed that entire explanation up with 3 words: shitty YouTube version. Done.
Okay.
But no, I appreciate how in depth you go, Tim.
Thank you. That's what I was looking for.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. We put 2 slashers together because we thought they'd both be short, and somehow between you describing the picture quality on YouTube and a couple of tangents, we're actually almost at a full-length episode here. But no less, we're going to talk about Intruder. Intruder is a film from 1989, and it's notable for starring both Sam and Ted Raimi, as well as Bruce Campbell's got a small part. It is of course, sorry?
Oh no, just like when I looked this up on IMDb, they had like, I don't know if it was like a DVD or VHS cover art or some poster, but they had something on it that was like Sam Raimi, Bruce Campbell, and the whole movie I was like, where's Bruce Campbell? And then like that was like grossly misleading.
Yeah, there wasn't much of him. It was just a cameo, but so it's set in a supermarket.
I just gotta say again, the title of why, like,
how is Intruder inaccurate?
Well, all right, I guess.
It's full spoilers. You can.
Okay. Well, I mean, the bad guy doesn't even really end up being the intruder. It's a guy that worked there.
True. This is true. But doesn't that lead to the misdirection for the audience throughout the movie? That you think it's someone else? You think it's the ex-boyfriend of the girl?
I guess, but at the same time, like, if I hear intruder, I'm thinking like home invasion movie. I'm not thinking like grocery store, like, which there could have been like a billion other titles. Like, I kept thinking like, why was this not called like Clean Up on Aisle 3 or something like that? Like,
That's not bad. It's not bad.
Yeah, right? Like this one I don't think was as bad a title as The Burning, but still I was kind of like, what are you doing, guys? Plus there's like, if you go into IMDb, there's like granted they came out later, but there's like 4 or 5 movies called like Intruder or Intruders or The Intruder. So,
yeah, it is an overused title. But to be fair, this one was first, from what I can tell. So, can't blame this one for that.
Yeah, fair enough.
So it's
Holy shit, I love this movie.
Oh, good. I love it too, Tim. Excellent. This is
like
a great movie.
The Burning was fun, and I was like, oh, that was cool. Like, I'm glad I watched that. But then, like, when I watched this, I was like, oh yeah, this was the one, baby.
Yeah, this is such a cheesy slasher movie. Like, most of the actors playing the kids, and I say kids, they're like late teens, early 20s, because they're all working at the store. And it's shut for the night, and they're doing like the stock and stuff, and whatever work you do in a store, like post closing hours, which is kind of a weird concept now because I feel like most supermarkets this size are all open 24 hours now.
Yeah,
but certainly that's something that only started maybe like 10 years ago. So back in this time frame, it would have been closed at night.
Yeah,
and so yeah, they find out that they're closing down soon, and that's like a plot point. And that's just there as a motivation for the killer, at least in part. So you've got this group of ragtag kids. The first 15 minutes of the movie, actually, they very quickly set up this ex-boyfriend of
they're crazy.
Yeah, of what I'll call the main girl, who was in prison for a year. He's out on parole, and he comes by. He sort of like comes in and he gives them trouble. A fight breaks out, and then he disappears. He's like a ninja. He disappears. He's this really sleazy guy in a leather jacket, and he disappears like a ninja into the night. And and we spend like 15-20 minutes like of the movie. It's almost like a short film at the start of him hiding somewhere, and they're all trying to find him. And like, you occasionally keep seeing him like pop up in the background. I love this because it was so over the top and cheesy.
Yeah.
And the music stings that were coming in as they were like almost seeing him and finding him and all that. And it was good fun.
Yeah.
And then, of course, people start dying one by one in a various manner. We'll talk about some of the characters and ones that stood out to us, but they start dying one by one in various ways. So I think we'll start with the kills.
Okay.
Because there's a good number of kills in this that I really liked.
Okay.
Some of them are really simple. Like Ted Ramey's death, he's listening to his music in his headphones like all the time, and I'm pretty sure it's the same song every time we cut back to him. Maybe I'm imagining that, but it felt like it. And he's like chopping like a watermelon or something, and he's like chopping. He's like hack, 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 and then on the fourth and the fifth hack, the killer just with the knife behind him like hacks into the back of his head.
This was really cool because it seemed very seamless because you keep seeing his knife going down and cutting, that you don't really realize that at first, that other knife then is the killer. And that was just really cool. I never really saw anything like that before. It's not
like an over the top gory kill. It's not impressive for that. It's impressive for how stylistic it's shot, almost like the way it happens. It's not. I mean, getting stabbed in the back of the head can't be gruesome, but it was from the side. You didn't really see a lot of blood or anything like that. But it was just it was the rhythm. It was the way it paced. It was like chop, 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 like
And that's actually let's talk about the kills first, but afterwards that's actually something I did want to bring up about the movie, is some of the stylistic choices, because there's some interesting like shots and stuff that they do throughout.
So some of the transitions, like earlier on, the first girl who dies, actually, I didn't even mention, because she just kind of, you see the knife come up and it just sort of cuts away. But as the killer goes to slash her, it cuts to him slicing a watermelon.
Yeah,
and it's like a really nice transition that just kind of. And I think the first time I watched it, I was enjoying it for how goofy and like sort of cheesy 80s it was, but I was a little worried from that first kill that it's going to be like shying away from the kills, but the rest of them are all pretty great. So it's not other good kills. There's one where a guy gets stabbed as he's leaning against a crate of Pepsi, and the blood like fizzes out of him, like as if he stabbed like a can of soda. That was really fun.
I quite enjoyed the. I forget if it's like the owner or manager or whatever, but he has that pointy thing on his desk that like you put papers on, and like the killer's just like slowly, like because he's putting up a fight, but just like slowly forcing his eye into that. And as a dude that really, really, I guess I shouldn't say hate, but kind of squirms at eye stuff, I was like, oh, but I couldn't look away.
That was cool. I really liked the table saw kill.
Oh yeah.
Because it properly like slices into his head, and it's just a really, really good moment. Even though there's a couple of times where you can clearly see like it's always a fake head now because he's doing this, but it didn't really matter. It was fun.
I don't think that he actually. I may be misremembering, but I don't think he actually killed the person. But I loved when the killer is just beating the guy with the head.
Yeah,
like he has the other disembodied head that he's using as a weapon.
Actually, this isn't a kill, but it's a moment I really liked. It's the moment the guy with the mustache who turns out to be the killer. He gets hit in the face with a hammer at one point, and I actually thought that was a really cool moment. If I've got one criticism about some of the movie, is that I do think occasionally the sound effects were kind of off. Like I feel like there's a moment when the girl hits the killer with a bottle of champagne or something.
Yes,
and it felt like it almost felt like there was no sound when it hit.
What it sounded like to me is it sounds like they got hit with like a 2-liter plastic bottle. But then the bottle drops and shatters like it's glass. So it felt like two different like bottle sound effects to me.
But no, when he gets hit in the cheek with the hammer, I thought that was actually really well done, because it felt like it was in the same shot. It didn't cut away, you actually see it hit, and it was like, presumably it was a fake hammer, so it didn't hurt him. But
you don't think they used a real hammer?
No, I don't.
To hit this guy in the head?
No, I'm pretty sure of it. And I'm sure there's another kill I'm forgetting. But there was so many of them. Yeah. Maybe I'll think of it later.
All right. Well, the one that kind of stuck out to me was the Sam Raimi's death with like the on that like hook thing. That looked really cool.
Yeah, that was fun. I mean, I feel like I've seen that like a lot just because of like Texas Chainsaw and stuff. But like it was fun. Yeah. Whereas some of the other ones I thought were fun. Do you know what scene I want to point out now? just for dialogue. There's the one guy who keeps eating stuff. It was reminding me a little bit of Paul Dano, actually. I thought it looked a little bit like him. But he's like telling the story of like the ex-boyfriend and how he was like almost going to kill him one night. And as he's telling us, he's like, "Oh, I swear he was going to kill me. If it wasn't for my brother beating him over the head with a blender again and again, I probably would have been dead." And then she's like, "A blender?" And he's like, "Yeah, it was." And he names the brand and the model number or whatever. And I'm like, "What the fuck is this story?" It was like, if he just said, "Oh, if it wasn't for my brother hitting him with a blender," I'd have been like, "That's fine." But he's like repeatedly hitting him with a blender, like repeatedly. Like, is he beating him to death with a blender?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Other talking point I want to bring up is the two police officers that arrive, because they phone the police at the start when the ex-boyfriend's in. Yeah. These two caught, like...
Oh my god.
Did they just grab these two off the street and put them in police uniforms? Because like, the acting on display from these two... Well, admittedly, some of the acting's just kind of ropey across the board. It's kind of a fun, cheesy acting, but it's...
What I kind of assumed is, like, I feel like this was probably a low-budget horror movie that was kind of made by, like, a bunch of friends.
Well, I think that's why you have both Rami brothers and Chris Campbell stepping in at one point. Yeah,
so it's probably not, like not to say that they're bad actors or anything, but, yeah, you know, it might be, like, you know, probably like that night of like, all right, let's get this shot. You know, they just throw on like some cheap cop uniforms and kind of just rush in there. But yeah, that ending scene was like really weird with them. Like just like they immediately, the horrible cops, they just like immediately are taking the victims and like slamming them on the car and being like yelling at them.
This is different cops from the earlier scene though.
Oh, you're not talking about the ending scene?
No, I'm talking about the scene later on when the cops come in and it's like the old guy and the tall guy and they look really goofy.
Oh, okay.
And it's like they have no idea what they're doing.
Okay, I apologize.
Because not just Campbell can act. The acting's fine at the end with those two. But these two were like... these two felt like they were pulled off the side of a street. Like, two homeless guys that they thought, oh, right, here, come make $10. Like, just say these things. It's like really slapstick because they can't open the door properly.
Yeah.
Oh dear. But no, the movie's a lot of fun. I really enjoyed all this stuff. There was one weird moment where I thought someone was masturbating. There's a scene.
You in the mirror?
No. There's a scene with the main girl and the guy who they hint that they might be going on a date at some point, and they start kissing at the checkout, and that one of the other friends sort of notices them, and he's sort of looking at them through the shelves, and he sort of smiles, and I was like, okay, fair enough, he's noticing that his friends are finally getting together. But it cuts back to him, and it looks like he's shaking, like his head's bobbing, you know, as if there's like some motion going on down there. But then, like 5 seconds later, he's walked out in front, and he's still like, you know, he's still got his jeans on, and I'm like, okay, I guess he wasn't. But for like that one shot, I would have sworn he was masturbating.
Yeah, it was really good subtext. I'd like to talk about.
But I thought it was strange because it's not even like they were having sex and had their clothes off. They kissed and then they started giggling at each other. And he's like, "Oh, I'm right into this. Oh, I'm going to knock one out quick here."
Yeah. This movie did something which I'm really surprised has never caught on, because I've never seen it in another movie, which is the point of view from a phone. That was interesting.
Not only that, we get a point of view from like not only the killer, but like the red herring character as well. Like we get various points of view at different points.
I thought I don't think it.
Actually, speaking of points of view, not only a phone, you get a point of view from a door handle as well.
Oh,
because the door handle's turning and the camera's like they are turning with the door handle, looking up at the guy.
Which I thought like some of that stuff, like I don't know, like I feel like it didn't necessarily always work, but I liked that they tried like different stuff like that. Like that, like there's some interesting like shots and stuff throughout that, you know, I can't necessarily say like, oh my god, it's so beautiful, it's a masterpiece, but I'm like, oh, that's kind of interesting. Like I've never really seen something like that.
Yeah. Nah, I do love this movie. It's so
Yeah.
cheesy and it's so fun. I mean, it's full of plot holes. The guy who turns out to be the killer, he physically cannot be the killer. Like, I've seen this before. So this was the second time I watched this, right? So
Yeah.
knowing he's the killer the entire time, he gets hit with a hammer, right, and gets knocked out, and then the very next scene, the killer attacks someone.
Yeah.
Like, it's impossible. And even before that, the killer attacks someone outside, and then it cuts immediately to him in the office talking to the manager. And I'm like, well, like this is impossible. You can't be in two places at once. But
Yeah.
you can't forgive it. You're like, who gives a shit? Like, yeah,
Yeah. Also, it's another one of these cases where it's like, I don't know if his motivation is the best. Like,
well, see, the thing is, he has this story that he tells them when they're all eating dinner at one point, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I used to be like a volunteer fireman, but I quit because I seen some serious shit. You know, we'd go out to car crashes, and there was this guy like walking down the street, like holding like a decapitated head in one hand with his his cheeseburger in the other,
yeah.
and then he does that later on."
Oh my God. Yeah. What do you with the sandwich?
Yeah, with the sandwich,
Oh, that
and
was
I'm
great.
like, okay, this guy was clearly already fucked up. Like, this has just set
Yeah.
him over the edge. Like, he was already disturbed. Speaking of
Yeah.
decapitated head, though, I love when he puts his hand in it and moves the
Oh
mouth
yeah.
and like does the ventriloquism with it. Oh, I'm like, oh, that's just so over the top.
Um. Yeah. Yeah. There's definitely a lot of over the top cheesy stuff. I think there's actually some legitimately like kind of cool creepy stuff though. Like I really really like the scene when he's chasing the girl like on the like checkout counters. Like
Hmm.
she's just running on the floor and he's like keeping up with her and bounding after her, but like you know, just the way he's like sprinting on all those like counters. I don't know. I just thought like it looked really cool, and it was like, oh, it's like kind of creepy and almost makes them kind of like animalistic and weird and stuff. Like there's a few moments like that that I thought were pretty cool.
Yeah, there's a couple of moments where she goes to stab him and he actually just grabs the knife with his hand.
Oh yeah, yeah,
And it's like, well, that's kind of badass. Like, it's
yeah,
like, you know, like he just grabs the blade with his hand. It
yeah,
really shows how demented he is and how like yeah, he's kind of no hope. And then the ending is really kind of weird because the police come and everyone else is dead inside and the
yeah,
killer is like in the phone box and he's like kind of like you know they've beat him to shit and like stabbed him and whatever so
yeah,
he's like lying there half dead but he's still alive and the police show up and arrest like the girl and the ex-boyfriend who turns out of course to not have anything to do with the killings.
yeah,
He's still clearly unhinged and a complete fuckwit, but he's got nothing to do with the killings. And they cuff both of them, and they're like, "No, he killed everyone. He killed them all." And he's like lying there, half dead, bleeding to death. He's like, "They did it. They killed them all." And
yeah,
Bruce Campbell goes to check. He comes back out, and he's like, "Oh, it's a massacre, and there's bodies everywhere." And the guy, the killer, like is like lying there with his eyes shut and then his eyes open. And then the girl who I don't even think is looking at him because she's like down on the police car, like just sort of
yeah,
stands up and screams,
yeah.
and the camera like it just cuts the credits there.
It's super weird because it's like she's screaming as if like he's about to kill them all again or like he just like burst out of a window or something like it's almost like it's supposed to be kind of like a you know like that jump scare kind of ending we
Yeah,
see nowadays but
but he's
it's
just
like
lying there on the floor,
yeah
bleeding.
even if he is still alive just go to the cops be like oh hey look he's still alive he's a killer like cuff him
Oh,
until we sort this out you know
what's even weirder though is I don't even feel like there was a moment before that where it looked like he was dead. Like it literally
right yeah
cut to him, his eyes were shut, and this was the first we'd seen them be shut, and then they open, and then
it
she
was
screams.
yeah, it looked just more like like it didn't really look like a dead guy. It looked more like a sleepy guy. Just kind of like closed his eyes for a
Yeah.
second. I was like, you know, like oh my god.
Yeah, it was. It was weird. Maybe there's something I'm missing, but I felt like I've seen it twice now, and neither time did I understand the ending really.
Yeah,
Just that moment. Like I understood everything else, but I just mean that moment. Like why is she screaming like that? I don't get it. Um, but no, super fun,
yeah,
super fun. I like cast from top to bottom is pretty rough, but they're a good cheesy kind of like fun rough.
yeah,
You know, like they have all these lines of dialogue where like they find out they're losing their jobs and the girl's like, "Oh well, I need a new job," and the guy's like, "Yeah, you and me both." And I'm like, "You just found out. You both found out at the same meeting 10 minutes ago that you're losing your job. There's no reason for you to tell the other person that you need a job. He knows that. Because he needs a job too.
Yeah.
Just the little things.
I think it's great for what it is. Like, it is a cheesy 80s horror movie, which if you're in the mood for that, I feel like it's really going to deliver. Like, some of the acting's rough, some of the can be kind of cheesy and whatnot at times, but it's fun. It's over the top. There's some pretty cool gore, and I was super happy with it.
Yeah, no, really, really, really fun. And I remembered the kill that I was forgetting earlier. It's the guy, his head, he crushes in like the press thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was the time when you noticed the fake head from the side, but it looked really cool because it was like squishing and blood was...
it's like coming like down on him.
What I didn't get though is that he was screaming his head off the entire time, and there's a lot of people still alive at this point. He was quite an early kill.
Yeah.
And like no one hears him. No one hears him screaming his head off. Like everyone else like died instantly, so at least I get,
Yeah.
But he's like screaming his head off like a good minute before he dies. Oh dear. But no, I think it's time to do some biscuits out of 10 for Intruder, and I'm going to go with a 7 biscuits. I loved it, but I can't really consciously give it like a super high score because it is a cheesy bad 80s movie, but it's just a great cheesy bad 80s movie,
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking, because like part of me kind of wants to give it an 8, but that feels really way too high. I think I'll give it like slightly higher, a 7.5.
Right, okay.
But yeah, I think it's firmly fits well there.
I think there's a lot of 80s like slasher movies and stuff where I would only give them like a 6, but I actually really love them. It's just they're not like high quality film, if that makes sense. And that sounds a bit pretentious,
right.
But it doesn't need to be pretentious. It's just it's having perspective, Like I can love a movie that I only give a 6 to.
Right. No, I definitely understand, and I think sometimes people like tend to just automatically lump anything like under an 8 as being bad or something. But
it's bollocks. It's a 10-point scale.
Yeah, exactly. Like even like there are even movies that I would give like 5 to that I still enjoy. Like
yeah, I probably would. I feel like 5's when it's like mediocre. Like I was kind of
like it's okay. Like maybe slightly like a little less. But I mean, it's right at the average point, so it might be average, slightly a little less than average. Anything under a 5, I'd say, is definitely bad. Like 6s are like can be okay to good.
If we're doing the full scale of the 10 system here, right? In my opinion, this is what you're getting, right? Number 1 is basically Birdemic, right? It is on every feasible level, in every filmmaking way, it is absolute complete garbage. Like most things that are getting made, even if they're bad, you can still argue they're art. Ones aren't art. Ones are either just hacks, not knowing what they're doing, or it's something like Scary Movie 5, where it's just a money grab with no talent put behind it whatsoever. Right?
Something made by Eli Roth.
2 is terrible. 3 is really, really bad. 4 is bad. 5 is mediocre. 6 is sort of watchable, enjoyable. 7's good. 8's great. 9 is amazing. And then 10, there's no such thing as perfect, but 10 is like... It's like a 9 again, but there's a personal, like there's just a spark. Like, you feel that extra bit where it just connects to you. That's a 10.
Yeah, it's about, like, as perfect as something's going to be. Yeah. At least in your personal opinion.
Yeah, but like I say, it's a personal thing where, like, there's nothing really higher than a 9, really. Or a 9.5 if you're doing 0.5s, right?
Yeah.
But, like, you have just that extra thing where it means something to you. It's special to you.
That makes sense. I can see that.
And I don't, I wasn't planning on doing a full lesson in my philosophy of rating things out of 10, but that's where I am in life.
Oh, you give me such shit before for talking about the box frame, and then you go on a 10-minute tirade about your rating scale, and
because I could tell you were starting one of your own, and I thought I would swoop in and do it properly, Tim. Properly.
You bastard.
Tim, if you're ever an intruder, there's going to be a burning. Oh
Well,
dear.
when we started this podcast, one of the first things I told you is like, yes, I'll do it, but just know one day we will kill each other. And yeah, we'll see.
But not today, Tim.
No, definitely not.
But not today.
Yeah, keep tuning in to find out when.
Yeah, so this has been. I mean, we've done slasher movies before, but this is our first official double feature slasher. Which, funnily enough, we did. The whole idea with this is they'd be shorter, so we'd do them as double features, and we have officially almost went double length. So my philosophy is completely wrong. However, I still think it's a fun idea because slasher movies are really easy to watch and they can pair really well together. So.
Without a doubt, and this was a good pairing actually. If you were gonna do like a double feature someday, you could do a lot worse than these two. Both really fun, and I'll say you're more of the slasher guy than me. I still like them, but I think you usually enjoy them a little bit more than me. And these were two that actually I really dug. Maybe other than like the big classic ones like Halloween and that kind of stuff. Like of the ones I didn't really know before and saw for the first time, these might be my favorite ones that we've done for the show so far.
Cool. I'm glad I introduced you to some movies that you enjoy, Tim. I want to point out that when we started recording, it was daylight, and now because the daylights went away, the light that you've got in your face has slowly like overexposed to the point where you're like. You've turned it off now, but a second ago you were like just this white blur of like a face.
Yeah. Hells yeah.
So, with that said, let us know what you think of the movies. In the comments
angelic
below,
glow.
Comments below on YouTube, or you can email us, mailfuzz@gmail.com, tweet at us at @mail_fuzz, do all that. Check out the other stuff that we do here in Mailfuzz. We do regular movie stuff on the Mailfuzz Movies YouTube channel and 1.21 gigawatts. Me and Matt talk about new releases and stuff and complain about
Matt and I, but whatever.
Yeah, but see, I changed it on purpose for Matt because it's alliteration, so it sounds quite good.
Alright.
Or I could say Matt and me, like Mac and me.
Oh, we gotta do that someday.
We'll make a movie called Matt and Me.
Well, I just meant we should review Mac and Me, but...
Oh, right. On Screams After Midnight?
Yeah, why not?
It's certainly horrific. I'll give it that. Check out that. Check out the TV stuff over on the Mailfuzz TV YouTube channel, which is all the weekly TV reviews. Plus, on that channel, you can find the DC Comics podcast, in which we review all the week's DC books every week. Well, I say all, most of them. We drop a few if they're terrible, but can't put ourselves through too much torture. I put myself through enough torture on this show with some shit movies. So yeah, check out that stuff. Check out our friends over at Rowan's Reviews. They do written movie reviews. They also do concert reviews and album reviews and stuff like that. So there'll be a link in the description. Have a look at them. And I think
Speaking of links, I just beat Zelda 2 yesterday.
Is that a Link to the Past?
No, that's Link's Adventure.
Alright, okay. I've never played a Zelda game, Tim, before, so I took a stab in the dark.
That's actually pretty good because Link to the Past would probably be the third one, so close.
Oh, good, yeah.
Unless I don't know if one of the handheld ones came before that, but in terms of the main console ones,
you wouldn't count the handheld ones.
Yeah.
I actually just started playing games again. I've been dabbling back into Dark Souls this past week.
Ooh, I know you're tired, so don't have much time to go into it. But I would like to know more about that later because I'm interested in that series. I don't know if I'd play them because I heard they're very hard and I'm kind of a wuss, but they sound up my alley.
I'm kind of a wuss too. However, that's kind of part of the fun is though. Like it's almost they're kind of horror games almost because of that. Because you get really scared of the new enemies. Like when you see something off in the distance and it looks big, you're like, oh fuck, what the fuck's that? Oh god, no. Oh god, no. We're still in the episode and we're talking about Dark Souls. We should be doing this after the episode off air. So, unless if you wanted to hear the Dark Souls talk, let us know. I mean, we used to do a gaming thing on a separate channel, but we've decided to focus on everything else. If you want the occasional gaming chat, maybe we could do something. I don't know, but
Yeah. If you ever want to do a live stream of Dark Souls, if I'm free, I would watch.
Oh, that's nice. That's one viewer in the bag.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually thinking of doing some streaming of Dark Souls very soon, actually. Maybe.
As long as you're doing a horror game, I'd be in. I don't give a shit about your whatever your dumb war games, but whenever you're doing
I don't play war games.
I'm sure you do the Division or some dumb shit like that.
I don't play. No, hey, I don't play Ubisoft games, right? Okay, I don't play Ubisoft games, Timmy. Right? I have taste. I don't like these bland, repetitive games. Thank you very much. Okay, this has been a hell of a tangent.
Yeah.
If you still feel like it after that random conversation, give us a nice review on iTunes, or like us and subscribe on the YouTubes. It helps us out a lot. We appreciate it. Keep watching the scary movies. Hell knows what we'll be doing next time. But thank you so much for sticking with us. We appreciate it a lot. Listening to our ramblings, Tim's nonsensical babblings about YouTube videos, and my Tim, what's the word when a genius walks into a room and like enlightens the minds of the nation? Like everyone in the room walks out feeling smarter.
A good time.
Yeah, so Tim's nonsensical rants about YouTube videos and my good time about rating systems. Thanks for watching, guys, or listening. I just thought I'd let Tim's laughter just settle in there for a good few seconds. I swear I'm wrapping this up now, guys. Thanks very much. We'll see you next time. Keep watching scary movies. Oh, I never did this for the last recorded episode. Don't ride conveyor belts in the dark.